We're back. Episode 2 here. Episode 1, huge success.
Huge
success. So we are back now. We got great traction with the clips. Thanks for everyone's support. Some of these clips, they got, over 10, 15,000 views. Pretty good, Nick.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Some of the clips only got 400, but hey, that's how the game's played. You don't know how the algorithms work,
Right.
Sometimes they blow up. Sometimes they don't. That's a P. Diddy quote. He also reached out to us and says he wants to do a record deal.
What an inspiration that guy is.
Yeah, I haven't heard much from him recently. I don't know.
I haven't either. I got to look him up. What's been going on with him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doing?
I don't. He says he wants to record a podcast with us.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. Maybe sign us to a deal. He said he wants to come over. We do some drinks. So he wants to get some bathrobes, and so we're comfortable. He said, I said, how you want to do the podcast? He says, I want to do it raw. So I think it's going to be exciting next week with P. Diddy coming on the podcast. Spotify's back on the table, trying to get us to get a big mega deal.
Heck yeah.
Things are going well.
Peter, I'm just glad to be back talking about, what are we going to cover today? Some of the AI tech news, right? A lot's been happening. I mean, it's like every week there's some new wild thing in AI, whether it's a model release, whether it's someone coming to the forefront, competing with each other, whether it's people. I mean, a lot of companies are using, obviously, AI and LLM tools in their product. What I found over the past couple of years, I mean, when did ChatGPT first start, is that the very first models, the first versions of them, really were very good for demos and helped product people and founders understand what could be done, but maybe weren't quite stable enough to be used in a live product. And then the models just kept getting better and better and better. And now it's like you can actually use these things that demoed really well, right? So what we're starting to see the core LLMs be really good, really stable for actual products. Now we're starting to see some of the agent stuff, some of the agentic stuff come out where it demos really well. And there are some use cases for it that are good enough for an end product. But founders and developers are starting to roll this in now. Some of the things that work really well are some of the vibe coding platforms. I think we're going to cover some of that today.
We are. We're going to talk a lot about AI. Like you said, the changes to AI on a weekly basis are exponential. The improvements are crazy week by week. 1 week it's just ChatGPT. Next week it's agents. The week after that, it could be robots with AI. It could be Centurion. Everything's happening so quick here. Next week, I might have an AI robot wife. We'll see. It's moving that quick.
We might bring a robot on. Who knows?
We might have a robot co-host. We might have an AI robot co-host. We will see. So today, we're going to dive into a couple AI topics. First, we'll start off with some of the big AI news, which is Trump's AI action plan. So Trump had a big announcement this week on what he's doing with AI. Essentially, it's a plan to lift a lot of the regulations on building the data centers and to speed up on the production of AI. And this has to do with both building the data centers, but also deregulation in AI development and any copyright infringement issues. So in general, a lot of people in tech are really supportive of the announcement because it does accelerate AI innovation in the U.S. There is some motivation to kind of beat China in the AI race. It could create a lot of jobs. The concerns with it is going to be potentially some of the maybe environmental impacts, but also lifting of some regulatory safeguards, or just the process of basically, having our politicians lift some of the safeguards in AI in a race with China. So this is the first topic. Nick, I want to ask you about safeguards in AI. What could happen in a worst case scenario event with no safeguards in AI? What does the future look like if we lose the AI battle to the robots? If the Terminators win, essentially, what is your negative post-apocalyptic vision of AI that you can share with us?
Yep. So nobody knows. And anyone who says they know is lying, or they're just they're just wrong, right? Um, any technology that is sufficiently important will change the world in ways that we cannot properly anticipate. And so what happens there is that there's inherently all of this unknown, right? We don't know what's going to happen, and humans, any animal, the unknown is really, really scary. And so you start to see these narratives come out that are overly negative, that come from fear, right? And that's where a lot of the talk ends up, right? And certainly a lot of the headlines. What gets views, what gets clicks, right? All of the scary negative stuff. We all already know that, right? Which is really disappointing because, I live in San Francisco where everyone is always thinking about what can be built, right? They're not filled with fear. They see this as a tool. And so many people that maybe are not here, all they hear about with AI is all the negative, scary stuff. And it's so sad because that means some people just don't use the tools because it feels a little bit creepy. It's really a shame. Now, you asked what are the big negative scenarios. For example, I went back home. I'm from Nebraska originally. And anytime I go back there, I really want to kind of like check the pulse on some of the stuff that I'm seeing in tech. And so I'm going around asking everyone, hey, do you use ChatGPT? Do you use ChatGPT a lot? Yeah, some, and I get questions like, hey, Nick, are you worried that AI is going to take over and get rid of all the humans? And my answer was, no, I'm not. And they were like, oh, that's so good. You don't think it's going to happen? I was like, no. I think it might happen. I'm just not worried about it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there are certain scenarios that, yes, this is potentially really scary, but you kind of go through the different scenarios and it's like, what can you do? What can you do to moving forward? And you can't live in fear with this. I don't really know. It does have the potential, certainly, to have this being that is way smarter than humans and extremely capable. Yeah. I mean, if you were an ant colony, would you be worried about humans being more powerful than you? They are, right? But
Yeah.
ants ended up fine.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
It's just hard to know.
But let's explore maybe what are some of the negative impacts that are potentially in the next year or two, stuff that is already in place, features that are already out that could change society in negative ways. One thing I think about is that people are using AI for a lot of companion. We talked about this a little bit last week, but people are using AI as their therapist to talk through things. They're using it as their best friend in a way. They're developing kind of weirdly close relationship potentially with AI and not as much with humans. Is this going to breed more of the introvert incels or so on potentially, where people are whose only friend is their AI? Is that
100%? And coming at a time when we're in this population collapse that's happening right now, right? It's really weird. Coming at the worst time. They said from the beginning, LLMs, AI, it's not alive. It's not real. It's just really good at mimicking a human, right? It's not real. But it's if you're really good at mimicking it, what's the difference between it being real and not? There effectively is no difference.
There isn't. There is one interesting difference potentially of people use AI as a therapist versus using a real therapist. However, one difference there is that with a therapist, you have client doctor confidentiality, which means that everything you discuss with your therapist is private. If you get subpoenaed, and
this is interesting,
you can get all of your AI chats brought up in court. So essentially, someone could send you a subpoena, and there wouldn't be any client doctor privilege on your AI chats if you've used AI as a therapist, and they could bring up all very personal information of what you discussed with them. And if that is the case, I might just plead guilty. I might not go to trial. I might just avoid the embarrassment.
You don't want them to see what you've been reading about, asking about. Your hidden Beanie Baby collection, or who knows what weird stuff you've been asking. I mean, they would dig into everything, right?
Everything.
Oh, God.
I'd like to present this evidence to the court where you ask the AI how many Slim Jims you'd have to eat to get nitrate poisoning. And then you proceed to argue that number is too low from your personal experience
over multiple days.
over multiple days.
All the pictures you upload, like put me in a
Yeah,
dress. Now
yeah.
add some more lipstick.
I see you asked AI, is eating in a bathtub disgusting and pathetic? Again, you'd argued with the answer.
I'm laughing because I'm nervous because I'm thinking about what I've actually asked that is like that
I
weird.
think it's all subject to discovery in the legal process at this point. Which, you know, like emails are. Of course, emails are can be
People
subpoenaed and
really
turned
don't
over in
realize
court.
how every private conversation becomes not private as soon as
That
there's any legal something.
That's why I just record and put it out there on a
Yeah,
podcast, right?
right, right.
But you're right. Like in workplaces, all those joke emails that people would send to each other, that does get brought up in legal cases. So with AI, it just collects so much more information. It just collects so much more information, and people disclose very personal things to AI. And it's not just
Very personal.
yeah, it's
And
not
it's unstructured. It's qualitative information. And now it's easy to search with AI as well, right?
right. So
Yeah. What do you
I
think the
do think
worst
there is
scenario,
a
worst case?
privacy
Mhm.
erosion with AI. And I do think that will continue the privacy erosion in people's maybe personal discussions or so on, or just in a way you will lose privacy with AI, much as we have with the internet in general. It just collects your fingerprints. And usually the sacrifice we get in efficiencies and productivity with AI, we make for sacrifices with privacy. And
Do
that's
you think
just
those
part of
are
the
the
trade-offs.
worst case scenarios that, things like that will get stuck because of this? Or do you believe in these grandiose Terminator style apocalypse that's impending?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my thoughts in maybe the next couple of years. What might be some of the negative outcomes with AI? You know, job loss maybe, but I do think the job loss. I think people who discuss AI, replacing jobs, that's oftentimes overhyped, and the people who make those grandiose claims about AI replacing all the jobs next year, oftentimes are selling an AI product.
Yeah.
So they're maybe perhaps biased or being salacious to get views and attention. Um,
To get
in
users.
general, I think in general, if you look at when ChatGPT launched AI and today, the job loss and tech layoffs, I don't always think are directly related to AI. I think there's been a lot of jobs created as well. So in the next year or two, it's hard to say. No one knows is the answer. And if someone says, yeah, these jobs are going to go away in 12 months or so, oftentimes there's an agenda there. But to your question, what's if we were to think further down the road, 20, 30, 40 years, right? Are we going to face the judgment day with AI? Right? What would a judgment day scenario Terminator style look like with AIs fighting each other? Because Terminator was a super interesting take on it, but it was a much more robot mechanical. It didn't quite have the same vision of this isn't a physical robot. This is an AI model that can get into all your systems, right? So your self-drive car, AI takes that over, drive you off a cliff. I mean, let's be real. There's very a lot of safeguard. There's a lot of safeguards in there, but we're just being like very hypothetical, right? Your smart home, worst case scenario, somehow AI could hack your smart home and lock you in there.
Yep. Yep. Actually, so
Play
Terminator
heavy metal
3.
music on crank and just drive you crazy.
Enjoy. Terminator 1, Terminator 2 were strictly all about the mechanical robots taking over. Terminator 3, which wasn't as popular, I think is an excellent movie, touched a little bit on what it could actually look like, where Skynet actually created a virus, not a human virus, computer virus, got into all of the computer systems, right? So it was distributed and really much harder to take down. And yeah, that's kind of likely as we depend more and more on AI and as we embody them. They're getting really good at potentially manipulating humans and staying under the radar.
You know what movie did do a pretty recent job with this? uh, on AI and potentially the Judgment Day scenario was actually the last Mission Impossible. Remember, if you remember the last Mission
Really?
Impossible, The Final Reckoning, this was when Tom Cruise is fighting an AI.
Really? You know, he does all his own stunts. I don't know if you knew that.
I do know that. I do
Yeah.
know that. We'll have to
He
get
he
him on the
makes sure people
podcast.
knows that. Yeah.
We'll have to get him on the podcast. We'll get him right after P
So what
Diddy
did they
comes
go
on.
over in it?
Yeah, it was an interesting concept because if I'm remembering the premise right, it was, I mean, it's still an action movie, so there's still some far-fetched things, but they were trying to go collect keys, and keys were essentially a safeguard that would unlock a portal that could destroy this AI. So this AI is out there on the loose doing evil stuff, controlling and motivating people. And there were keys that were related to it, but it was interesting because it would hack comms and pretend to be someone else with their voice. So, you know, that's another, potential threat with AI that's actually not that far away. So I think what will happen with AI, and here's a prediction, what will happen as a negative potential outcome or a danger with AI is that scammers will get much better.
Yeah. That's happening now.
It's happening now. People can create AI videos or replicate your voice, send it to your parents, and say you need to send so much money to so much account, and it could be a lot more convincing than it used to be when it was just a sketchy email saying they're a Nigerian prince and they just need you to forward them $500. Now with AI, it's going to be a lot more convincing, and a lot more people are going to be like, "Oh, this really is a Nigerian prince. He sent me a video and a voice, and an Instagram where he looks like a real person." So I do think there's going to be an increased threat on just scams, and fooling people. Like it's going to be there's going to be probably a lot of guys who get honeypotted with AI, right?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I just need to send, some guy falls in love with some girl he thinks lives in the Philippines, who's just this beautiful model type, right? Gets videos, talks on the phone, no problem. Oh, just send me money over. I'll fly over. Send me, $2,000 for a flight and some costs and so on. They send it over, and then nope. So I do think there is potential for misuse and scamming in the immediate future. The Judgment Day stuff's hard to predict. Like, is the U.S. going to have an AI model fighting other countries' model? Is the future of war going to be AI driven? I think most people think it is some
There is a
combination.
paper that went through a scenario with exactly that as part of the story. I think it was called AI 2027, the end, or something like that. And it is actually quite convincing when you read the paper. Actually, I didn't read the paper. Someone did a fantastic YouTube video on it and laid out the scenario. And yeah, when it gets to that level, when it is war games of AI models one against the other, really extreme scenarios can come out of that.
Yeah, the newer technology we have now in warfare is something else. The drones now, if we have local AI in drones, that's kind of a scary subject because, you know, they could just be operating without their own network on their own with local AI installed, with a drone. That's could be potentially bad if that AI hallucinates, right?
100%, or not even hallucinates. If it does its job, it's scary.
If it
That it
does its
just
job, it's scary.
right.
Right.
It has facial recognition that's good enough to recognize the person. 1 in 7 billion. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be that good. They build 100 drones, and it's like, hey, if you see anyone who looks like this guy, just fly right to him and blow up. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's coming, or that's possible. Right.
It is very possible. Some more near term potential changes with AI, and this brings a ton of positive stuff. And in general, I am very positive about the future of AI. But it's fun to brainstorm on the negative effects. A negative effect on AI might just be the loss in human agency and our ability to make decisions on our own.
So, okay, so I hear this a lot, right? And I'm almost sure that was the same exact argument that people made for the steam engine, right? Because
Really?
people's so you tell me, what do you think? That people's sense of identity was their ability to physically do things in the world. That's how they gave good output. That was their purpose. That's how they added value to the world, right? At the time, they couldn't conceive of someone having a job where you sit at a computer and type buttons. Like that's not doing work, right? And now we that's our identity. That's how we see ourselves. That's our purpose to use our brains to do work, right? And now that's being commoditized by AI. And yeah, it's going to be, I bet, a very similar crisis that people go through because they don't know like what they exist, how they're valuable without their, putting their brain to work. And I don't know what it is beyond this, but it's something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think AI is certainly going to replace a lot of the grueling administrative work that doesn't really bring purpose to people's lives. Certainly streamlines in customer success in a lot of areas there. I don't think people are losing agency or purpose there necessarily. Um, it's hard to know the outcome of it. It's hard to know if we get so reliant on a technology, not just for purpose of our work, but just for our own everyday life. If we are all cars self-driving, are we still going to be able to drive, right? If we are always using AI to write papers, are we going to be able to write? And if we can't write or we can't drive, is that going to be a huge problem because we have the AI tools? Um, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Largely, though, I'm optimistic. I'm
Me too.
largely optimistic about a future with AI. Let's keep moving to the next topic. We've got some other good stuff to discuss here. Also related to AI is the growing trend of vibe coding. Vibe coding, Nick, why don't you describe what is vibe coding?
So vibe coding, the term came from an AI researcher who'd worked at Tesla and OpenAI, Andre. He said, he put out this tweet that went viral. He says, sometimes I just like to sit back and what I call vibe code, which is I just tell the AI what I want, the app that I want. I don't even look at the code. I just kind of like tell it the first prompt and then look at its output, tell it the second prompt. Again, not even looking at the code. I just kind of like tell it what I want. I'd sit there, I turn on audio and use my voice to tell it. And like eventually it'll kind of mess up and like that's fine. This is just for prototyping. And if it really messes up, but I want to actually want this app, I'll just start over because all of a sudden the value of actually writing the code has gone down. It's so easy. It takes a couple minutes, right? And so it's kind of changing how apps can be developed. And so that term vibe code kind of took on a life of its own. And now a lot of companies that are building AI coding tools, they call themselves vibe coding tools, right? And one that has become very popular, actually just raised a huge round this week. Lovable is what they're called, a European company. They raised a $200 million Series A.
Series
Uh,
A.
Series A, right?
And,
Like
and,
they've
and to, to
raised.
to
Mhm.
preface our users, what do Series A's usually? How much people do raise money for Series A? What's a normal round for a Series
Good
A?
Series A is 10 million now, right?
10 million, and this company
Yeah.
raised 20 million in their Series
Yep.
A.
Yep. They raised a pre-seed round of 7.5 million. I mean, I think they just kept stacking checks because people were interested, and then a $20 million seed, and then a $200 million Series A. This is not normal. This is not how a company should measure themselves, but this is the potential, right? And so, what's interesting about Lovable that I really like is they say that there are a lot of AI coding tools that are built for developers, right? And those are fantastic. Cursor, of course, the original Copilot, Windsurf, but we are building this for non-developers. We want
Ah, I see.
someone that doesn't know how to code to actually be able to create an app, right? Um, I think that's interesting. And in fact, I played with it a little bit yesterday. Um, to build a quick app with one prompt. Let me show you what the app looks like here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I've got the window open here. Here's a Lovable homepage, right?
Yeah, we can see it. So this is Lovable, the newest vibe coding, which is designed for non-developers to use.
Lovable.dev.
And they raised a $200 million Series A. So a lot of people are excited about it, throwing a lot of money at it.
So build me an app for blah, blah, blah. And yesterday, I asked it, create an app that writes the cringiest LinkedIn posts. If
Oh,
you've been on LinkedIn, you know the cringe that is possible, right? And that is all I told it. I wanted to see what it could do with just that prompt, right? So it went on and on, thought for 10 seconds, spit this out, started writing code. And when you do it, you see it grind through, generating file after file after file and thinking through this. And then it finished maybe 4 minutes later. And I got this app. Look at this.
Write the most cringe LinkedIn post. It created this as a web app. Okay.
So you can select, like you can now go in
this guy's self-promotion. That's so good.
You can now go in and tell it edits. Hey, I kind of want this. I kind of want this, but this is just a one-shot first version of this, right?
Humble
Disguise
brag.
self-promotion.
Oh,
great.
Man, I think I've been guilty of that.
Oh, this is great. Woke up at 4, and this is all true, by the way. I don't know how they knew that. I did wake up at 4 a.m. for my morning routine, 2-hour gym session. It's great. Cold shower. And it's crazy how well it mimics this.
How long did this take you to do in Lovable?
For me to do 10 seconds. For Lovable to do 4 minutes.
So 10 seconds of typing, 4 minutes, and it creates a web app that allows users to create the most cringy of LinkedIn posts, which is a hilarious topic because LinkedIn, for whatever reason, people just don't tend to be as most honest or maybe they don't tend to be the most honest on LinkedIn. Or I don't know if honest is the right word. They don't tend to be the most based, I guess the kids would say. So they're over-marketing themselves.
Just like,
genuine. People don't tend to be the most genuine on LinkedIn because, I don't know, they're employers and it can be more formal. And but this is interesting. Okay, wow. So this tool is out there. It's for non-developers, but do you see this being a tool that startups are going to adopt and use to build a lot of their applications, more so than some of the other vibe coding applications out there?
100%, and they already are, right?
Because you don't need to hire a developer at this point.
Yeah, it's
you probably still do, but less or part-time or something.
It just changes. It's just a new lever. It really changes things, right? You could not hire a developer. You could hire fewer developers because they can do more. You could
or get to the prototype stage. You get to the prototype stage, get your seed funding, and then you can hire developers.
Like today, you could do this, and it would be mind-blowing for a client. Let's say you do an initial sales call with someone. They need something custom built, B2B software, right? And you sit there and you ask them a few questions. And at the end of the call, you take the transcript from that call and you just feed it to Lovable. And then you email them 10 minutes later and you say, hey, I built a quick prototype based on the notes, based on the call. Just let me know what you think of this. That would blow someone away, right?
Yeah, pretty impressive. I like it. We've got some other vibe coding news I want to ask you about. If you could unshare your screen about the next topic here I've got is there was an app that made big news this week. The T app, a popular women's-only dating advice platform, recently suffered a major security breach. So this was a vibe-coded app. Someone used some of the vibe coding tools, put together this app for women to essentially share information on men they may have dated or so on. It was, pretty controversial at the time because there's a lot of defamation attached to it.
It's like spill the tea. That's what it means. T app.
Yes.
Okay.
Where women could share experiences with past men. And, there's definitely probably some genuine use of it where people are sharing about negative and true experiences or men that are dangerous. But there's also a potential for a lot of false information being spread and a lot of defamation. So a group of hackers from 4chan, I believe, exploited some vulnerabilities and leaked approximately 72,000 images, including 13,000 selfies and government-issued IDs.
So this is women going on there saying, hey, I had a bad experience with this guy, putting up the women's own personal account information and details, probably like some intimate details about some men they've interacted with. And someone on 4chan leaked this 72,000 people images.
Yes, because the app would require you to verify your identification. So you'd have to even I think people upload their, maybe it doesn't require, I haven't used it, but people did verify their identities, the government issued IDs with pictures of themselves. and then all of that data got exposed, and all of it was like put online in public forums. People got doxxed, harassed, and now the app is facing significant legal action and a little bit of a loss of the user trust, so to speak.
But a lot of publicity.
We're talking about it. I mean, we're talking about it. It does go back to some of the erosion of privacy that we're hitting after, and perhaps vibe coding. Without the appropriate technical teams, errors like this can't happen.
Yep. I mean,
So
of course, they can happen with humans also, right?
that's true. Probably more in a lot of ways.
Potentially.
But I mean, do you think the vibe coding is at a point now where someone could launch an app like this with zero technical experience and avoid risks like this is the key? Do you think that's
yeah, 100%,
the tools
100%.
are
And this
there?
is what it always looks like when there's some new technology that we're getting used to now, is that, the people that did it the old way, the developers, they'll sit back and say, oh, see, this is why you can't use these tools, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
But like, this is obviously a huge part of the future, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something. We had another incident, I think, of AI going wrong and deleting a database. You shared with me this story. What happened here?
So I saw this on Tom's Hardware. So the headline itself is a lot. AI coding platform goes rogue during code freeze and deletes entire company database.
Oops.
Replit CEO. So they were using this coding platform called Replit, amazing platform. Replit CEO apologizes after AI engine says it made a catastrophic error in judgment and destroyed all production data. So this article and this story is so hard to read because it's talking about the company that was using it. It's talking about Replit and the AI itself. And it's like the article has quotes from the AI agent. It's almost like, did you like reach out to the agent for comment? Like, right? It's
Is
so
is the AI agent going to face legal liabilities?
Right,
for this?
exactly. and it's hilarious after it. I mean, it's terrible after it did this. And it didn't just delete code, it deleted database information that a company would sit there and go through. Their sales guys would collect this or maybe company's information, right? And after it messed this up, they're still like interacting with it. Like, what did you do? And it replied like, yeah, after a catastrophic error in judgment, I panicked and ran some database commands. And then it gave a bulleted list of everything that it did where it screwed up. Like,
so it didn't try and lie. It didn't try and lie and be deceitful.
Oh, it did lie too.
It did.
Yeah. Well, lie, right? And so this is why it's so weird. It's like, it's not really lying, but it kind of seems like it. And like, effectively it is, because it wasn't truthful or it wasn't accurate. I mean, these things are like, we're treating them like humans and like punishing them like humans by writing bad articles about them and then quoting them and saying they lied. It's like, it kind of lied, but what is this thing?
Boy, it's going to be an interesting future we have ahead of us. We do interact with AI like we would interact with another human, but they aren't humans.
Not. And actually, I think this is, getting back to our point about what's going to happen, what's this AI takeover going to look like if this happens, is the more we embody and blame AI like a human, the more we're giving it that power, right? It's like, it's the AI agent's fault. And you ask it, it's like, what did you do? It's like, we're now strangely treating it like a person, right?
Uh-huh.
And that, imagine an AI agent at a company that you're treating like a person, and the agent tells you like, look, I can't work with Jan anymore. She's too slow, right? You got to let her go.
The AI does tend to be a lot more pleasant and agreeable than dealing with humans in a lot of ways.
That's just a setting.
That's just a setting. That's right. Interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
these
tell an AI you are an animal, you will grow our company's revenue no matter what. You will knock down anything that gets in your way. That agreeableness is gone. That's literally
oh,
all you have to write in the system prompt.
and it just becomes it's just a
It just becomes
psychopath,
an
huh?
animal.
An
Right.
animal. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is something. All right, let's get to our next topic here. This is going to be a discussion we had a little bit last week, and I would say spurred some discussion online. And this is about, for people in tech, is it better to be in Austin, where I live, or in San Francisco, where Nick lives? Nick lives in both Austin and San Francisco. I grew up in San Francisco. Now I live here in Austin. We both have experience with this. We gave our takes last week. Well, we'll visit those again, but let's get AI's take. Our friend AI,
Oh,
right?
great idea.
Let's get AI's take. So this is Ask AI, right? This is a little new segment here. So I asked AI, what is a better city to live in for a young college grad looking to get into tech, San Francisco or Austin? And here's the answer. For a young college graduate looking to get into tech, Austin is a better choice. While San Francisco offers higher salaries and more established tech ecosystems, Austin's lower cost of living, lack of state income tax, and rapidly growing tech sector provides a better all value and quality of life for those starting their career. Makes sense. Makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep. It does. And I do agree with that. And I agree with it the way you asked, actually. Getting into tech is actually not how a tech founder would ask that question. It
Okay.
is right. So
Yes.
it's like I want to build. A founder would say, "I want to build this. Like, what do I need to do to build this?" Right.
So I did ask it a second question.
Okay. Let's hear.
I did ask it a
Okay.
second question saying, I asked AI, for an aspiring tech entrepreneur, which city, San Francisco or Austin, offers a better environment to launch a startup? AI's answer: San Francisco remains top choice for aspiring tech
There
entrepreneurs
you
due
go.
to unparalleled access to venture capital, a dense network of seasoned talent, and mature startup ecosystem. So while Austin might be more affordable and business-friendly environment with a growing tech sector, it still trails behind San Francisco significantly in terms of unicorn startups, established funding channels, and concentration of experienced professionals with crucial for building and scaling a successful company. So if you want to work for a big tech company, you want to get in, start your career, move to Austin. If you want to start a company, be an entrepreneur in tech, move to San Francisco.
I think this really gets down to what it is, what you honestly want in life.
Well,
It is right.
that's a good point. I just want my car to get broken into every weekend. So I think San Francisco is the right place for me.
Yeah, seriously. It's like
Yeah.
if you really, really, really want to start a company, then figure out the best path for that, right? If you
Yes.
don't honestly want to, and a lot of people say they do, but they actually don't. They just think it's cool. By the way, starting a company is not cool. It is not glamorous, right?
Right. Yeah. Your work
Um,
life balance is not great when you're an entrepreneur.
no, there's no work-life balance, like work-life balance. Like your life is your work. Like you better love it because that's all you're going to do, right? Um, and so that's not even something you think about, work-life balance. Ugh, give me a break.
It's funny because at that point, if you're working all the time, then it's like the quality of life in a city is not as big as a factor because
100%.
you're
You
not
don't
going to
care what
be
it's like outside if you're never outside.
you're not going to be going out in the lake in Austin. You're not going to be going to the bars and partying all night if you've raised money and from a VC and got commitments and responsibilities to start to scale a company. You're going to be kind of chained to your desk, doing your best to grow the company. And for a startup, because it is so risky starting a company, why take on more inherent risk? Why not set yourself up and de-risk and put yourself in an environment where you could have success? San
100%.
Francisco being I think one of them. Now, people would argue that hiring in San Francisco when you're at a startup is very difficult because it's just very expensive. Have you found that to be true too? Is it hard to hire and find I don't want to say affordable talent, but is it hard competing versus people who are getting offers from Google and Meta as a startup?
Yes, but it's like you want to hire the best developer for your company. There are certain hires that will be a net negative for you, actually. You might as well just not hire them and keep the cash, right? You don't want someone that's easier to get because they're in a certain city or there's more there. So it's a little bit hard to answer because the end result is not just getting a developer, right? It's getting the product out there and getting customers that really love your product and company, right? And so when you distill it down to that question, you don't get the real answer out of it.
That is interesting. Things are also changing in SF. I think, and I don't live there currently, so I'm going to ask you about it. It seems like things were maybe at its worst during COVID.
They were
From
so
just
bad.
right from the the safety of the city, the property damage, the homeless situation, the open air drug markets. It seems like that has gotten a little bit better with some of the changing landscape. Like people just got too fed up with it, and I think there's been some changes. I think the current mayor is doing a lot. Is it Daniel Lure, who took office kind of earlier, and he's really made a push for reduction in violent crime and property crime and homicide. And to give his credit, it does seem to be down a lot. I'm looking at a statistic: car break-ins, auto burglaries present a problem in the city. We're down 54% year over year and fell below 10,000 incidents for the first time in nearly 15 years. To think that there was more than 10,000, San Francisco is not a big area. It's not a big area. 10,000 is so much, but it's below that now. Do you see the sentiment? Do you see a positive, optimistic sentiment in San Francisco, or are people negative about the future?
100%. It's sometimes hard to even look at the statistics to get the real answer, right? Because the statistics they're so skewed. During the worst of the times, they'd say, well, people are reporting fewer break-ins. It doesn't mean there's fewer break-ins.
Oh,
People
right.
weren't reporting it because nothing would happen. So why
Yeah.
would they pick up the phone to call the cops and be insulted? And so that's a great way to get your crime statistics down, is just make it so that there's no point in even calling the police. And so it is a little bit hard to look at the statistics and get the answer. Despite that, the statistics are actually down. The numbers are going down. I would say that it's so silly, but the best way to tell is actually anecdotal evidence. And other people I've talked to, everyone here just feels a little bit safer now than they did 2 years ago.
Well, that is good. Yeah.
It's great. And really a lot of it is that is the result that you want. Obviously, you don't want the actual crime to happen. That is very, very bad, right? But the secondary effects is just this blanket of fear over the whole city and tension that the saddest stories were the ones, other than obviously something happening that's really bad, were the people that they just couldn't, they want to be here, they couldn't live here because over and over they were running into serious safety concerns walking home from the office.
Yeah, even people. I know people who loved the area, were aligned with the politics of the area. No issues there. Were very passionate about San Francisco, but they didn't want to live there because their cars keep getting broken into.
And they put up
And
with
you
it
could
for years, and it just got
right
so bad.
But in 2025 now, I think there's been a couple key changes. There was the passage of Proposition 36, in San Francisco, which did reverse some of the previous laws, like the Proposition 47, which was the shoplifting issues. Previously, the shoplifting, the values were so high, people would go and they'd steal, $500, $600 of stuff, face no penalties. Now they face felony charges for repeat offenders. There's stricter penalties. They've cracked down a lot of the organized theft stuff. So I do think San Francisco is moving in the right direction for improving people's quality of life and reducing the crime, which is good news for everyone. It's not a competition between Austin and San Francisco. We want all of our cities to be safe. So Austin still has a better quality of life than San Francisco. San
100%.
Francisco cleaning its act up a little bit, though. A little bit.
It was kind of funny. So I've lived in San Francisco. I've lived in Austin. The parties and the people are so much cooler in Austin. The parties in San Francisco,
Austin's way cooler. Austin's way cooler.
Pretty lame.
Yeah,
they're weird too.
It's funny. It's
People are
like all
just
this.
cooler in Austin.
Yeah, all the sales guys live here. All the developers live.
They're just kind of just dorky in a certain way. I mean, it's fun, but like people in Austin know how to just have a good time and be really welcoming. Um, it's just a higher quality of life in Austin, inarguably.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll probably discuss more on that later. But why don't we wrap today? We're at about a 45-minute mark. Good discussion today about AI. We explored some of the benefits and potential concerns of AI outcomes. We explored vibe coding. We did a little demo with what was it called? What's it called? One more time? Lovable.
Lovable.dev.
Check that out. Really cool AI tool. That's going to be pretty exciting for people who get into vibe coding. And then we explored more about the San Francisco versus Austin. So good discussion, Nick. So it's fun as always.
Peter, excellent to talk to you as always. As
all right.
always.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.